Yeah, great stuff. That was quite a show in Boston on Lansdowne Street. I almost got in a fight, actually, at that one. That's the only one I ever gotten real close to getting in a fight. And the guy and I ended up dancing with each other, arm in arm, just swinging around, having a great time. We ended up laughing. It was great. And he was cool. And I saw him later at the store down the street. And we just were so happy that we got along. It was really cool. And it was great. Well, forever friend on that one. Let's get to the summer drive-in, everybody. We're driving for summer here at Liberty Conspiracy. And you can get your thoughts and contributions into the program. Let's look at this. First, the theater of the absurd and the instructive. If we go to the news notes, you'll see that this portion of Liberty Conspiracy is brought to you by the letter U and the letter S, plus Israel, which evidently are the same thing, and Iran. Donald Trump broke the MOU and committed a war crime over the weekend by threatening to kill the Iranian negotiating team because, why not? They've already done that sort of thing with Israel before with negotiators as they went over to Qatar. And of course, they assassinated Iranians who were in Syria along the Turkish border as well. Well, they flew to Switzerland to engage his vice president and other coat holders in talks from which the Iranians have every right to be free because they should be left alone. But of course, since Trump initiated this aggression as the culmination of multiple acts of aggression against Iran, his latest outburst likely seems in character. Bad character. Let's rise above. We're going to rise above. Here's Howard Lutnick. Howard, wink, wink, Lutnick Q. Holy crap. President issued a direct threat to Iranian negotiators in Switzerland. This, of course, is not Howard, the real Howard Lutnick. You close the strait and you won't have a country. You won't even make it back to your effing country. Yes, because he's really a stylish dude.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country. Now, earlier today, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said this about Iranian enrichment of uranium. The president also reacting to that. Take a listen.
We will not give up our right to enrichment, and they, too, will be forced to accept it. You all know what the so-called President of the United States was saying. He had made a complete 100-degree turn. He was saying that Iran must surrender unconditionally. Iran has no right to do this. It has no right to do that.
President Trump, during
By the way, I'm sure the translator just missed that. It's a 180-degree turn. I did a total 95.3-degree turn.
Call responded directly to those comments by Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. President Trump told Fox News he better watch his mouth, he better shape up, or we'll take over the rest of the country.
Yeah, big words there. Big words, little small hand man. All right, so let's get over to what this all might mean and some of the shakeouts of this, because it looked rough and rocky, but thank goodness for the great eyeliner, orange crushing eyeliner of J.D. Vance. Trump also threatened Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian when Pezeshkian correctly observed that Iran had an internationally acknowledged right to enrich uranium for energy. The Iranian contingent prepared to leave as a natural reaction to Trump's bellicose and criminal threat, but they appear to have stayed. J.D. Vance then accuses the Iranians of engaging in trash talk. Did you get that? Yeah, and portray them as initiating the threats. It's like the Iranians just can't win. They just, can you imagine them like go get back to their hotel, like, man, I'm really tired, man. These guys, what is it with these people? Like, you want to go down to the restaurant and get something to eat? Nah, man, no. I'm tired, man. I'm just really tired. Is there ever a moment when they just don't stop doing dumb things and flipping around like fish out of water? Like, it's insane. That is why, of course, it is the theater of the absurd and the instructive. It's so stupid. So let's get to this, everybody. You got it. This is one that we actually produced for you because the sound was kind of low. So here it is. It's gaslighting, and you thought we were out of energy.
But what we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the president of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the president is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the president of the United States is actually going to set the record straight.
What was it? You remember all those things the Iranians said? Remember that? They said, hey, we were signed on to the JCPOA and we were allowing inspections and we didn't even go past the 4% threshold for another year. And you guys tore it all up. And we even allowed Americans to say, oh, yeah, and you and the Israelis have been assassinating us. And you surrounded our country with bases. We also have claims to our own national waters, and we're working with the Omanis. And you tried to set up a secondary block down at the southeastern portion of the Persian Gulf. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're so full of crap that I guess you could fertilize a field with us, huh? Oh, no, that's right. Everything we just said was absolutely 100% correct. Oh, and then there's the Israel must stop attacking Lebanon. And that has been our consistent plank all along. And what has Israel done? That's right. Despite the United States agreeing for Israel, for some bizarre reason, Israel continues to slaughter people there and try to take more land. How odd, how queer, how utterly queer. Makes me feel nauseous inside. Strange. How odd. And then, of course, the United States says, hey, Israel, hey, you cut that out now. And strangely, that doesn't stop them. The one thing that the United States could do to stop them, which would be, conforming to the Constitution and stopping their supply of weapons and money, they don't do, which has been consistently what we've mentioned here day after day, which indicates just how disingenuous guys like this guy are when they say stuff like this.
That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening, there was a little bit of whining, but at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
There was a little bit of threatening, a little bit of whining. You want some cheese with your wine, of course, right? Well, as I noted here, let me just give you the info. It seems that the Qatari foreign minister has a good grasp on the fact that Vance is a snake. It's one of the few good grasps you can get about a snake. Just be holding on to the fact that they are snakes. And, of course, we can see here how he declined to shake Vance's hand when they came within proximity in the Birkenstock Resort. No, they don't sell the sandals there, I don't think. The Birkenstock Resort at Lake Lucerne in Switzerland. So this was kind of fun to see, if you got to see this one, because JD just looked like, the guy who wasn't picked for the basketball team. Access to this video was denied. Hurt me. Let me see if I can refresh it and see if it'll happen. See if it works. It's not working. I'll find it later on. And I'll go that extra 6 miles or whatever it is and go for it. All right. So we'll show you the dismissal by the Qatari guy in just a minute, but let me give you the update on where things stand. Regardless of Vance's insulting lies, the talks just concluded, and the Iranian contingent actually says that things are progressing. Now, what's the current set of negotiated points? First, Lebanon. Israel must end aggression there. I know, JD, like what? I don't know, man. That's a new one, huh? Boy, those slippery Iranians, they're always changing their mind on stuff. 2, U.S. must remove its blockade of the Persian Gulf. Note, anti-war reports that Bessent and his goons temporarily have given permission to Iran to sell oil to willing buyers. How nice of them. And of course, inside the Rumble chat, we were talking about that as well, as Mariel Nafal is talking about that live right now, I think. So here's Dave. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced on Monday that the U.S. was issuing a temporary license. You got to be licensed to actually engage in free commerce with a willing buyer, because Scott Bessent knows best for you, to allow the sale of Iranian oil amid ongoing talks between the U.S. and Iran in Switzerland, in line with the Memorandum of Understanding aimed at ending the conflict between the two nations. Quote, in line with the ongoing productive talks in Switzerland, Iran has committed to free and open transit in the Strait of Hormuz and to permit International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA inspectors into their country, Bessent wrote on X. And it's amazing because, as I think you probably can foresee, it's exactly as we said. Bessent and Vance and many others in the Trump contingent are claiming that this is some great breakthrough. Yes, that's right. They're going to allow IAEA inspectors into Iran for the first time since the last time they were allowing them in. Oh, man. Shh. Don't tell anybody that they were going in there. It's all our doing. We did it. We're awesome. Oh, great job there, Scotty. Beam me up. In line with the ongoing productive talks in Switzerland, Iran is committed to free and open transit. And you know what? IAEA inspectors, as part of the framework, Treasury has issued a temporary 60-day general license authorizing the production, delivery, and sale of Iranian oil. Does that strike anybody as kind of a bizarre statement coming from the so-called land of the free? Let's read that again for the class. Who wants to volunteer and get up to the board and read that? Let's pick that apart for a second. Oh, look, as part of the framework, Treasury has issued a temporary 60-day general license. A general license authorizing the production, delivery, and sale of Iranian oil. Do you see anything in that wonderful Constitution that allows them to block Iranian oil? I don't. No, they don't. They don't have any such power. They have a tariff power. And of course, that is assuming that the Constitution can confer unto them that magical power in the first place, which on an ethical and moral level, it cannot, because it's forced on you. It's just a piece of paper that a bunch of people wrote to say we're going to create a government and it can do certain things to people and people will fill those slots. It doesn't mean you have to conform to it. The only reason you have to is because they'll point guns at you and take you away. Yeah. So Vice President J.D. Vance also announced in Switzerland that Iran was willing to allow IAEA inspectors back into the country, though Iranian media denied the issue was discussed. The IAEA was working in Iran before the U.S. and Israel started bombing the country on February 28th. Thank you, Dave. Yes, leave it to Antiwar to actually give people the real story. Then, of course, they halted their work due to the war. IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said that some work was done earlier this month during an IAEA inspection of the Bushehr nuclear power plant in southern Iran. Oh, it's a nuclear what plant, Donald? Nuclear power plant in southern Iran, suggesting that some inspectors remained in the country. Now, I don't know about you, but from what I hear, Scott Bessent is also going to allow the resale of used Led Zeppelin records, because right now, Robert Plant is going to allow inspections of his garden. Hello, I'm Robert. Robert and Plant, and these are my plants. Would you like to look at them and inspect them? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Have you heard my song Kashmir? It's pretty effing awesome. It sure is. That's right. So there you go. All right. That's good stuff, right? Okay. Now let's get back over to the Mighty News Notes, because, of course, that's after part 2. U.S. must remove its blockade. And look, magically, in the land of the free, they're actually giving us permission to buy some stuff and for them to sell it, because nobody is bothering to notice how incredibly offensive that is and rise above the fact that they're being stepped on like bugs by people who claim power. That's called usurpation. Oh, look, here's number 3. U.S. must return Iranian funds. Can I get some of my money back? Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. It was already spent on money to create arms, to blow apart people in Gaza. Ah, shucks. Maybe Alan Greenspan could have helped me out. Oh, no, that's right. Alan Greenspan helped facilitate other U.S. wars with, of course, the central bank buying U.S. bonds. U.S. must return Iranian funds. And here I noted we see a possible secondary deal, a deal that sees the U.S. agree to release the stolen Iranian funds, $24 billion at least, in U.S. denominated funds, and Iran agreeing to spend those funds on U.S. agricultural exports. Yeah, this actually is a pretty fascinating idea, but it smells of the U.S. pressuring Iran to do it. And this is going to be a low likelihood possibility. So down here, you'll see. Here is J.D. Vance on the Iran would buy U.S. food idea. It would be managed by Qatar. Spare us the Qatar. The same nation that saw its foreign minister not shake Vance's hand.
We wanted to make sure that we set up a process where if we ever unfreeze Iranian assets, we can ensure that Iranian money goes to help the people of Iran and not to fund terrorism. So Jared Kushner actually came up with a very interesting solution with the Qataris, where basically, again, if there is any frozen Iranian assets that are unfrozen, then we have approval over that process. The Qataris have approval over that process. And then the money would actually go to buy American soy, American corn, and American wheat for the benefit of the Iranian people. And what Jared and the Qataris and the entire team accomplished is, to me, a classic Trump deal, where if Iranian assets are ever unfrozen, they're going to go to make American farmers richer and to feed the Iranian people. That's a very, very good and very classic Trump deal.
Okay, so that is from Daniel Davis's deep dive. Now, this actually links to the entire show inside the news notes, but I time coded it at about 12, which is where they come in. But I just thought it's just incredible the euphemisms these people use. If we ever free up the sanctioned Iranian money that we're holding, the frozen assets. Here's the deal. Let's go rob a bank, right? And then the cops come and they're like, hey, you guys like rob that bank? Like, oh, no. We're just freezing the assets. Oh, what? Yeah. It's just, we're putting them in escrow in other countries like Qatar, UAE, stuff like that, so they can get them back. No. They can't get them back unless we let them. So what does that mean? Well, I thought did you say these are like other people's money from the bank? Yeah, it is. But you see, we're better. We know better. And so we've frozen the assets. Now, here's the deal. Okay, if they buy from my company, we'll give them the money back. I got some friends who own some shops. But they got to agree, because, we're honest dealers here. You got to work with us. We're the good guys. We're the white hats. We're the white stormtroopers. So here's the deal. We will allow the money to be unfrozen. You mean you'll give the stolen money back? No. You're not in the game here. This is Mad Libs. You're not filling in the right thing. Okay. It's not one of the words you can choose. We will unfreeze the assets if they'll buy from my friend's fishing tackle shop. Really? Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Why do you want them to buy? Well, they might, go fishing for some truth. There you go. There you go. And we've got this from Smoove out in Utah, a clarifying Trump deal where the contractors don't get paid for the work they completed. Classic Trump, a classic Trump deal where they don't get paid for what they did. There you go. Hey, Donald, I did some work for you. We frozen the assets. Really? Where are they frozen? My account. They're frozen in my account. Oh, okay. They're frozen in my freezer. It really is absurd. It's so stupid and dumb. Oh, man. Yes, indeed. They're successful despite themselves. War crimes and all. Welcome to the classroom, all. Oh, man. It's just so great. All right. So let's rock on with some of the more rocking stuff and the rocking horses. Now, I want to go to a couple more of the points here to wrap up the points. Okay. And by the way, you know that song Night Moves by Bob Seger? How many times do they have to say night moves at the end of that song for you to understand and figure out, hey, what's the name of this song? I don't know. I think it might be called Night Moves. What's that points all of her own way up? I don't know, but it's disturbing. I don't like that part. Neither do I. I usually shut it off. I know. Why didn't somebody talk to him? I don't know. I don't know why they didn't. Okay, now let's go back over to this. Number 3, U.S. must return Iranian funds. And here we see a possible secondary deal, as we mentioned. Then number 4, Iran will lift the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, but retains control in tandem with Oman and likely will charge a fee. Then number 5, it looks like J.D. Vance is hinting that the U.S. will agree to what it had in the JCPOA. Yep, as we thought, it likely will be Iranian nuclear energy enrichment to about 4% and openness to inspections in their country, not outside their country, which, of course, JD is calling a victory, just like Scott Bessent, returning to what the Trumpers previously called a bad deal.
We'll figure out later after all these other things are done here. But now Vice President Vance came out of there with a somewhat different tune. Gary, if you can play the one that says Vance inspectors.
The Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people. And
See, immediately, you just know. You can't trust anything, not one pixel of anything you see that comes out in video from any of these people, any single person. Doesn't matter whether it's J.D. Vance or Scott Bessent or Tulsi Gabbard or anybody who remained in that office up until this year is trustworthy. And for those people like, let's say Joe Kent. I'll give Joe Kent a pass because he has done a pretty good job. But geez, what the heck? Hey, Karen's in the house. All right, Karen. Happy Monday to Guard and the Russian team. Yes. Oh, man. By the way, Karen, I looked a little more at different shops where we can sell items, and they're coming. It's going to be great. It's like Clutch. Don't worry. It's coming. Yeah. So there you go. JD being awesome. Oh, wait, I forgot. There's more of the winningness.
first step in permanently ending a nuclear weapons program in Iran. And that's exactly what we wanted to do.
It never started. They never started one.
That's exactly what we asked to happen. We made a lot of great progress on other nuclear talks.
Did we, though? We made a lot of great progress on other talks because the Iranian side don't seem to be saying that that was even a negotiation, only a statement. What do you make of that?
Well, you know, the interesting thing about the nuclear issue is that the Iranians said ever since the JCPOA and before, we don't want a nuclear bomb. You know, we don't.
How much more obvious can it be? Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Karen, great to see you. Wow, man. Good thing there's so many good, sane people in the audience. You guys rock. Let's go to some more sane people. The judge, yes, Judge Napolitano. A little bit earlier today. Here we go with Alistair.
What he said. But what we told the Iranians yesterday is when you guys engage in what us millennials might call trash talk, you can't expect the president of the United States not to respond and not to correct the record. So when they say things that aren't true, the president is going to respond to it. I'm going to respond to it. Americans are going to respond to it. When they make threats that aren't rooted in reality, they have to accept that the president of the United States is actually going to set the record straight. That's all that happened. So yes, there was a little bit of threatening. There was a little bit of...
Okay, so I just want to say, because I want to get to their comments, but I just want to mention, have you ever been around like a kid who's all hopped up on sugar and they're just flipping out and screaming and going nuts? And eventually they're going to be like crashing. This must be the way the Iranians and the Qataris and all the others just look at everybody in that American contingent. Like, look, man, they're going to be like Jiffy Pop popcorn. They're popping off saying so many dumb things. Just wait till it's expanded and it cools a little bit. They'll fall asleep and we'll just proceed here.
But at the end of the day, the talks continued and we made great progress.
Made great progress. I would think that President Trump violated one of the great protocols of all time, that in the middle of negotiation, he threatened to kill the other side.
I knew I had to get here. You couldn't, if this were the opening bit on Saturday Night Live, this would be such a classic. It's just perfect. You couldn't write this any more stupid. It's crazy.
Threatened to bomb Iran.
Yes, absolutely. This was a decapitation strike promised the entire negotiating team. Again, I mean, a war crime, effectively, promised this. And what the Vice President is saying is not really very true or accurate, because, I mean, what are the threats that Iran has made? I mean, they have made threats which are consistent with a military conflict, saying that if you hit our infrastructure, we will strike at other infrastructure in the region. If your forces attack us, we will hit back. That is not of the same order of threats as saying, we are going to obliterate you, as he just said today. If you don't do it, or your team will not even make it back to Tehran. They will be gone. I mean, these are, there's not really, it's not really a comparison. So he's just trying to do this to sort of give cover, to explain, to put into context, Trump's extravagant threats to the Iranians, which I would add are now becoming really counterproductive across the world. I mean, it's not having that effect on the Iranians one bit. Everyone's got used to these social posts in the middle of the night and doesn't take them very seriously.
But I thought, didn't Scott Bessent say that we had like 80,000 more years of oil in the magic reserves? Isn't there like a hammer space? It's like Mario and Luigi's is pulling out the hammers out of nowhere. Oh, I got another gallon of oil. It's like Popeye with the spinach. Hey, look, I got some spinach. We're all set. Karen and Judge Knapp is so deadpan about this theater of the absurd. I know. I wish you were here. I wish we were all here hanging out. By the way, there's a place that the Free State has called the Quill. That Free State Project has. It's a really cool place, and it's like an invite-only thing. They give you a key, and you can go in and stuff like that. And I was thinking it would be great to be able to do like a studio audience show there. That would be so much fun. Oh man, it'd be so much fun. But we'll open up to you guys and get you to come in with your comments and stuff. But maybe we can do that tomorrow night. That'll be so much fun. Oh my goodness. All right, now I want to go with Professor Saeed Marandi and Mohammed Marandi with his comments about this, because of course we're talking about resources that the United States is depleting, and we come in right here from RT.
The battlefield, main reason why Trump's is that come from the Persian Gulf are about to hit the U.S. economy in a very bad way. That is the main reason why Trump was so insistent on having a deal with Iran, and that's why he gave those concessions. Iran defeated the United States on the battlefield, It defeated the United States in siege warfare, and now the United States is desperate for oil. So if Trump wants to save his presidency or what's left of it, he has to abide by Iran's demands. And one of those demands are the Israeli regime must be kicked out of Lebanon. And so this is going to be a battle between Trump and Netanyahu. And I don't think that Trump is going to want to have the U.S. economy collapse. So ultimately, the Israeli regime is going to have to pull out. But Netanyahu, he's fighting for his political life, and he's going to say this sort of thing.
Yeah, I saw somebody commenting online. Somebody commented, "We're watching the Zionists eating each other in real time. Let's just sit back and watch." It's not my words, but somebody commented that online. Professor, I've got another soundbite for you. Please make sure your volume is up, because the U.S. envoy to Israel, Mike Huckabee, told the Jewish News Syndicate Summit that he feels safer in Jerusalem than in Washington. Please have a listen to this.
I told some of my friends later, I said, I can't wait to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem where I feel safe. Now, the interesting thing is, they did what you did. They laughed and they thought it was a punchline. I said, I'm not kidding. I really am anxious to get out of this crazy town and get back to Jerusalem because I feel safe there.
Look at Rory Suchet's face. By the way, he's David Suchet's nephew. He's David Suchet's brother. Is Rory's father. Look at his face. It's classic. Rory, if you ever watch this, you guys are awesome. Oh, man. And got great comments. I got to show these on screen before we go any further. Oh, man. We got some great comments over at Rumble if folks want to contribute to the comments over there as well. Because some people, I think it was Birdhouse, mentioned something about Jared Kushner would go down in history as one of the greatest negotiators of all time. Let's see. We got, oh, yeah. And Karen says Trump is so classy. Let's scroll along and see some of the great comments from some folks here. Oh, man, it's just great. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to victory Vance off. Vance to the music. Yes, Denny Terrio. Vance, what is it? Vance Revolution. And we've got this. Let's see. Oh, good quote. Good quote from Aerosmith there. Okay. It's like watching Batman as a kid. Theater of the absurd, says. And it's like watching Batman as a kid was Front Porch Media. Oh man, it's just so true. So gonna go back to the freeze frame. Freeze frame. All right, we'll continue. And the thing I did want to mention about Huckabee though is, again, this is a guy who literally had a picnic lunch just not too far away from the wall that separates Israel from the starving people in Gaza a year ago, right? And so if he says he feels safer in Israel than he does in Washington, D.C., then how is it that he can continue arguing for the United States to be handing weapons to Israel, ostensibly to defend itself by engaging in aggression in places like Gaza and Lebanon? Oh, and how about just the whole occupation thing? I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of a rhetorical problem he's got there because the two don't comport.
Yeah, why do you think Huckabee is saying something like that? Who's he trying to chum up to, I guess?
Well, he's definitely not an American patriot. He's definitely not American firster. His loyalty definitely does not lie with his country. His loyalty lies with the genocidal regime. And he's shown this time after time. And it just shows that Christian Zionists and Jewish Zionists, their priorities are not with the American people. Their priorities are with this regime, and they are more than willing to sacrifice the United States. Fortunately, there are growing numbers of Jews and Christians in the United States that are turning against the regime. And there's a poll carried out by a Jewish organization in the United States that has shown that roughly half of young Jews under the age of 35 believe that Palestinians and Israelis or Jews in Palestine should live side by side as equals. That is a rejection of Zionism, and that shows that young Jews in the United States see through the propaganda like other young Americans. And I think that's very encouraging. So he belongs to the people who listen to him are those Fox viewers who are grow old and near the end of their lives. The youth are against genocide.
And of course, they get to live off of our earnings with Social Security. As the circle jerk said, Social Security has run out for you and me. We do whatever we can. Gotta duck when the you-know-what hits the fan. Dude. Hey, Trump needs to do a Dancing with the Stars tournament in his new ballroom. Yes, it's Dancing with the Stars with Denny Terrio. That's right. Oh, look, I just want to mention this. This is a great bit from David Knight about the ridiculousness of Zionism.
Strictly follow the Babylonian Talmud. Kill them first. We initiate. We attack. We surprise. Kill them first.
We change Israel's security doctrine. We initiate, we attack, we surprise, and we attack those enemies that seek our destruction, that seek to kill us. We attack them before they have a chance to do so.
There seems to be a very strange problem with causation here. Don't you think maybe, like you got this artificial, all states are artificial, but within the state paradigm, within that zeitgeist, you got an artificially created state called Israel, and they plunk it down there with a bunch of people who aren't even Semitic, and they come down there and take people's land. And then they claim, well, this goes way back goes back a few years. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And because, Israel is the same thing. See, the state of Israel is really what Christ was talking about. So we are chosen. We're chosen. I mean, we're like, we're sort of like the prize at the bottom of the Christian Cracker Jack box. You get down the bottom, there's Israel right there. It's like the magic decoder ring. Everything's great. And you go to heaven if you support the Zionist occupation genocide state of Israel. Now, anybody who doesn't like that, they're the aggressors. See, so, so what we do is we engage in preemptory aggression because, of course, we call that defense. Yeah.
No Hebrew, hakam leorgecha, hashkem leorgo. Kill them first.
Yeah. That is not, that may be the Hebrew language that he's quoting there. It has nothing to do with the Hebrew Bible. It really doesn't. And so, again, is it just doing this preemptively in defense? Well, no, quite frankly, there's a video that is now illegal to share in Israel. Why? Because it is the former Prime Minister, Gallant, who admitted after October the 7th that they had knowingly killed Israelis in order to have their quote-unquote victory. He admitted that Israel killed its own people with the Hannibal Directive on October the 7th. He blamed Hamas, but they used Israeli helicopters, Israeli drones, Israeli tanks to kill Israelis that were there. And again, this is the reality. They don't care who they kill. They got an objective, and for their political goals, they will kill anybody, including their own citizens.
But why is the destruction then? I'm sorry. Why is the destruction? It looks like because of our tanks.
This is caused by us.
Fight on them. Yeah, because they were blocked in these houses, and we need to conquer back the whole settlement, and it couldn't happen without tanks. Okay.
So how many were here, and then how many survived? How many did you?
No one survived from this house.
So I just it perplexes me how people can get into the mindset of, oh yeah, so here's the deal. See, for the greater good, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an innocent life because that's that makes me feel totally good. That's that works. I can't, these Lego pieces don't fit. I don't know how that works. It's just very odd. Oh man, what a bunch of maniacs. They're so out of control and just insane. Joker's Wild Birdhouse, big time. Absolutely. Wow. Oh man. Here that I think you might dig a wiggy. And here we go. Now, down a little further, the U.S.-Israeli relationship. Yes, that's right. This is Conricus, Jonathan Conricus. You might remember Jonathan Conricus because he made a fool of himself many times on television, especially appearing with Piers Morgan. Well, he's no longer the IDF spokesperson or man or whatever now. I know it's kind of shocking. It's kind of weird. But yeah, he's still probably likely wanted for war crimes. Jonathan says that at this JNS summit that Israel is still entirely dependent on the U.S. So I said, yeah, he says the obvious. So again, this is very clear. What is going on in Lebanon, the United States could stop. What's going on in Gaza, the United States could have stopped a long time ago, and they just won't. They won't do it.
I humbly think that is a reckless thing to say, because I don't think that Israel can defend itself using Israel-made platforms. We don't make F-35s. We don't make any of the Fs. And for over many years, we have been limited from having a totally independent military industry. And if we're honest, the Israeli economy and our ability to produce heavy goods, like the ones that you'd need in military affairs, just isn't there. It may be.
Now, why would that be? I don't understand. Well, it's a good thing we get to subsidize it. Isn't that fantastic? Now, Kyle Anzalone and Larry Johnson rocked it today. They nailed it regarding Netanyahu. The U.S. appears to be engaging in a WWE dance with Neti Pot.
I want to start off here with these recent remarks from Benjamin Netanyahu.
As long as we need to protect our people, we will remain in the security zone in South Lebanon. And the reason is perfectly understood. No country would be asked to do otherwise. Now you imagine the United States. Across the border, you have thousands, an army of thousands of terrorists who pellet your cities and your towns with rockets and ballistic missiles and killer drones. They kill your soldiers, they kill your citizens, they kill your children, and they threaten them every day. Well, what would America do? Would it say, well, there's nothing we can do? Let's hold our fire? Is that what America would say? No. You know damn well what America would do. It would cross the border, create a security zone, kill the terrorists, and protect its people until the threat is removed. That's exactly what we are doing.
So, Larry, a key part of the negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear to be Lebanon. Iran really sticking towards we need a ceasefire in Lebanon. Yeah. Here you have America's greatest ally essentially saying we are not going to agree to that. So what is Trump doing about the Netanyahu problem?
Well, they actually have agreed to it as far as the ceasefire goes. They're just saying that they're not going to leave the southern zone that they've temporarily occupied. I think ultimately they will end up leaving that, despite Netanyahu's tough talk, because the one thing that's going to compel the Israelis to do that will be the reality of the casualties. They just won't be able to continue to sustain casualties as they have been up to this point. So Trump had to use, he had to use some leverage. Trump's not the first one to do it. Dwight Eisenhower used it in 1953, I guess, 54 for the Suez Crisis. Ronald Reagan used it in 82. And I don't know what specifically Donald Trump told Netanyahu, but he had a range of things he could threatened with provided the 2/3 of the response to Iranian missile attacks back from between February 28th and April 15th. Withdraw with U.S. combat aircraft from Israel, cease sharing intelligence with Israel. So, a variety, Trump's got a variety of pressure points, and he obviously used one of them because if left to Netanyahu would still be in dropping bombs in Lebanon. And
okay, so this is where I want to take the next steps that I mentioned on Friday. This is where I think their little shadow play is going to be extending through the summer. And you let me know if you think I'm on the right track here. If you think that this is, again, I don't want to speculate too much, but just looking at the fact that the United States government is suddenly complaining, and Donald Trump is complaining about, well, you don't have to take an entire building when you're going after Hezbollah. You just don't have to do that. Like, really? Okay, so even if one were to accept the idea that Israel is on the defense when they're attacking people in their corralled region called Gaza, that they have controlled for decades and wiped people out and kidnapped people and raped them and done terrible things to them decade after decade after decade as they encroach and take more land there and in the West Bank and also in Lebanon. Even if one were to accept that Israel were in the right and that there was some evil force, some terrible poltergeist force that was coming up out of the ground somehow to attack them, reaching out of the television set and grabbing their kids, Donald, if you are thinking that about Lebanon, then why didn't you say it about Gaza in 2023 or 2024 or 2025 or through this year? Why haven't you said anything? And J.D. Vance, the same thing. Same thing. Very selective on their visuals. So that tells us something. That tells us that they don't want to stop the weapons shipments. That tells us that they're not going to discontinue this relationship. This is a tactical change for them, not strategic because they're in the midst of the operation. It's tactical. And what they're hoping to do is ride it through to the election so that it looks like the United States is upset and they're going to make a deal with Iran and they're going to get Israel to shut down attacks on Lebanon. And then after the election, Israel will be right back and attacking Lebanon and taking the rest of Gaza. And you can bet that the United States in the background is working with the Lebanese government to incentivize them to continue calling for the eradication of Hezbollah when Hezbollah has been the only thing that stands between the Israeli onslaught and the people on the ground south of the Litani River and even a little bit further north of the Litani River. Look, this is the mindset you're dealing with here. They do not care. And Trump doesn't care. If they cared, he would have done something about this and not gone after Iran because he would have known, and he could have known about the energy problems if you want to look at it consequentially and don't even look at the morality of wiping out innocent people in another country. Don't even look at the anti-constitutional nature of it. These are just basic stepping stones in a thought process that lead you right across this sewage river. You know exactly what they're doing. This is just a big play. It's a big WWE thing. That's all it is. Now, let me show you what's going on in Gaza. While all this happens, Gaza, Israel accelerates its push into Gaza, killing more innocent people. Here's anti-war on it. Yep, the IDF has killed at least 1,021 Palestinians in Gaza since the so-called ceasefire deal. This written yesterday by Dave DeCamp. He is a hard-working man. Heavy Israeli strikes pounded Gaza on Saturday with attacks targeting an Al Jazeera journalist. What? And killing women and children as the IDF continues its constant violations of the U.S.-backed ceasefire deal. Now, why aren't the United States so-called diplomats mentioning, hey, by the way, you continually breach this ceasefire deal. And even when you try to come up with nonsensical arguments that you were targeting someone, you tried to kill a journalist. You tried to kill a woman and her children. Why? Again, it just the lack of comment on it tells you everything you need to know. The silence is golden. And the people at anti-war are very well aware of this. If you watch Dave's videos, he knows where it's at. He knows what's going on. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yep. An Israeli strike on a home in central Gaza killed 3 men, including Ahmed Wisha, a 25-year-old cameraman for Al Jazeera, marking the 12th Al Jazeera journalist killed by Israel in Gaza, according to the Qatar-based outlet. Wisha was the brother of Mohammed Wisha, an Al Jazeera correspondent who was also killed by the IDF in Gaza when an Israeli strike hit a car he was traveling in back in April. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, the IDF has now killed 260 journalists in Gaza. What the heck, man? That's just messed up. Jeez. Oh, by the way, I've got the Qatari snub of JD for you. Here we go. This is classic. Just walks right by him like he's invisible, and then JD tries to get behind the back of the Pakistani minister, and the dude is having nothing of it. It's classic. It's just great. Oh man, that's great. The only thing that'd be better is if he had like one of those buzzer rings, you know. Yes, indeed. Now let's get to another little fun part of the program and round off the Middle Eastern conversation and get to your thoughts. Let me ask you this. 2 questions. Put your comments in, and we're going to double check on those things to make sure that we keep refreshing and putting your comments up on the screen as well. And feel free if you want to comment over at X, which is over to my left, your right, and the Russians will make sure we get the comments on the screen. Okay, so members of the conspiracy, let me ask you this. First off, what do you think gas prices will be come mid-August? Higher or lower? If you think higher, how much? If you think lower, how much? Okay. Then what about my idea on that this is just a big shadow play to get to the next election? And then again, the Israelis are going to just, pull all the stops and go back and start slamming Lebanon under some pretext. And of course, they're going to take the rest of Gaza. So let me know what you think about those things. We'll get your comments on those things. And I want to get ready with a little something fun here because I want to talk about the lunacy. And then we'll go to your comments. We're going to talk Laura lunacy level with Mark Levin. We talked about Laura Loomer on Friday. But of course, it's always a rich day to talk about Mark Levin. So let's get right into that. I've got a new theme. And it also, by the way, has a little something to do with Black Flag. It also is a remix, a redo, I should say, of one of their great ones when Keith Morris headed up the band. This is for Mark Levin. I'm about to have a nervous breakdown.
Breakdown, my head really hurts. If I don't find a way out of here, I'm gonna go berserk 'cause I'm crazy, I'm hurt. Head on my shoulders, going berserk.
Yeah, all right. That was some show, I tell you. We saw that show down in Boston. My buddy Malcolm and I went down to see it. And it was the Rollins band backing up Keith Morris doing all of his Black Flag songs and Henry Rollins doing all of his Black Flag songs. Morris comes out, does all of his stuff, finishes with Nervous Breakdown, absolutely out of control. Then as he's walking off stage, Rollins is walking on stage. It's like a baton in a relay race, just hands him the mic. The band continues and starts doing Rise Above. It's just, the place was insane. It was so energetic and crazy. It was just, I was bruised. Like I said, I've had my ribs broken at a damn show one time. I'm surprised I didn't have my ribs broken at that Rise Above thing for those guys, the West Memphis 3. But that was great that they got the money to help those guys out. Literally, they got them off of death row because they were able to get a DNA test. Very cool. Now let's talk about the Mark Levin lunacy. Levin traveled to Israel, spoke to an American-Israeli lobby group, hugged Netanyahu, then claimed he's not an Israeli agent. Well, first, one need not get paid by the Israeli government to be ideologically aligned with the Zionist genocide machine. Second, he not only coordinates messages with the Israeli government, he coordinates with the Trump administration, as Trump himself has shown when promoting Levin's programs. Watch tonight. He's going to have Tom Cotton on, aware of the scheduled guests and topics they will promote. So let's watch as Mr. I'm not an agent tells us the truth. Then we'll check out your comments. Go, Mark, go.
Keep giving opinions about me that aren't true. I read headlines and I go, did I say that? No, I didn't say that. So I just want to explain, I'm not an agent for the Israeli government. I don't meet with the Israeli government. I don't conspire with the Israeli government. Believe it or not, I love this country, and I don't need any government to tell me that.
Okay, so does anybody notice he's literally at the Jewish National Policy Summit? He is breathing together with them. Policy, nation state. Does he even know where he is? It's just crazy.
And I get this for people who do conspire with foreign governments, just not this one. People keep giving opinions about me that aren't true.
Oh, man, it's incredible. Now, he also, of course, tried to claim that the isolationists are warmongers because it's Mark Levin who knows what's true and not true. And he also claims that Iran's government has engaged in aggression for 47 years.
There's nothing here about the Iranian people anywhere. Did we not tell them that we would come and help them? Did we? Did we not mean it? Did it get too complicated? See, this is what happens when you're making deals as opposed to destroying a regime and getting an unconditional surrender. I'm just wondering, what is this we again? And who is this we're making deals? You see how assumptive he is. You're part of his life, and he will just tell you. And he'll make a decision about this. This is why everybody's arguing about it, because this is a collectivist nation. All nations are collectivists. That's the point. All political systems are collectivists. It just depends who's in charge and whether or not you're going to be one of them. That's all. Laying it out. So you, the American people, have everything. You make the decisions, not some controlled information. And these old slogans that those who dare to point out these problems are warmongers or support forever wars are not only imbecilic, they're illogical. By not ending this regime, their war will go on. Maybe not right now, but it will. It absolutely will. When they're ready and able to go again with some of the money that we're allowing them to get. Billions and billions. Well, it's not our money. Who cares? The warmongers.
It's just incredible. The arrogance and conceit of this guy has no bounds. It's not your money. Shouldn't you just end the thought process there, Mark? It's not your money. No, you can't, because you're a so-called conservative. Did you notice? I don't know if you noticed this, but I noticed that first, Mark Levin looks a lot like Mr. Netanyahu sometimes. And also, they both have a hard time wiping the clown makeup off. Did you notice there was that shine there?
Are the isolationists, the pacifists, and the appeasers who empower the Iranian regime and our enemies. They're proxies. They kill our citizens. To stand down while the enemy stands up. To hide while they shoot at us. That's not American. And to address that and confront it and deal with it is not a warmonger. That's a patriot. We lost thousands of our fellow Americans because of the isolationists and their ilk. The last 47 years, they reigned. They were in charge. We were isolationists. We didn't hit back. Look, there's more, but that's enough for now.
The isolationists are warmongers. And, you know, hitting first is hitting back. Oh man, I had to pump the volume up on that one a little bit, but the link to the original is in there as well. So that's the one that I recorded up above, and that's the one from Chris Minahan of Information Liberation. All right, let's get your comments, everybody, over at Rumble to see what's going on. Oh man, Birdhouse, time to reboot the Tea Party, Mark. Oh, Elmer Fudd. Oh. Ghost Art. His mother was a hamster. His father was a cyclops smelling of elderberry. Go away or else I will insult you again. Oh, yes, Bronk. Bronk's got it too. Right there. Bronk Stomper says, so where does Mark stand on Jonathan Pollard? Oh, man. All right. So here's what I'm thinking, you guys. One of the things that I want to do is I want to create something called the Jonathan Pollard Award and give it to the craziest pro-Zionist maniac of the year. We might have to do it once a month. It'll be the Jonathan Pollard Award for outstanding excellence in overlooking genocide. And we'll send it to Mark Levin and give it to Laura Loomer, you know? It'll be great. And you know what actually would be really cool is if we could do it in association with contributions that would like give the money to Hezbollah or Hamas. The Jonathan Pollard Award. Maybe be like a big mushroom cloud or something, you know? Or maybe be like shaped like Adelson's jet, you know? With like a hand sticking out like, woo! Or maybe Pollard on the ground at the tarmac kissing the ground. That'd be perfect. The Jonathan Pollard Award. What do you think of that? You like that idea? And by the way, let me know if you think prices are going to be skyrocketing in August, or they'll be lower. Just let me know. All right. Oh man, skyrockets in flight. Due afternoon delight. Yep. And meanwhile, there is a little bit of common sense. Mondami does a good job spelling out the difference between correctly citing monstrous behavior and being a member of a monstrous genocide gang. Drop Site's got this. New York Mayor Mondami highlights the ongoing U.S.-backed Israeli killings in Gaza of civilians and journalists, despite a nominal ceasefire. He said AIPAC seeks to manage a, quote, status quo of immorality in the region. Pretty good. Now, got a lot of disagreements with him on economic policies, but this is a pretty good one right here.
Some members of the Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language he used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories.
So the guy's asking the question if that's a little bit low for you on the off mic. He says, some people were alarmed, like I'm alarmed and I'm trying to make it look like you're some sort of evil dude, by your use of wording saying that they are they're controlling dark money. They say that invokes old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories. What do you say to that?
what do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire. Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wishah, was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people, not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept. And when it comes to the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's typical. People are well aware of a lot of different organizations and movement of money that way. Now, while that's going on, while Netanyahu finishes his workday by reiterating that invading Israel will not withdraw, that's the invading Israel, the invaders will not withdraw from Lebanon. He claims he and the IDF are protecting Lebanon from Hezbollah and protecting the Israelis. Well, since the Israelis are the occupiers, they have no claim to self-defense in the region of the Middle East. And if Netanyahu also is implying that he's protecting Lebanese people from Hezbollah, that's about as authentic as a governor from another U.S. state sending an invasion force of his troops into your state and claiming it's for your protection. And come to think of it, of course, that's what the feds and the DHS and ICE do all the time. So, thought that was pretty good stuff from David Knight. That covers that. And finally, I want to give you this. Lindsey Graham continues to make sure U.S. taxpayer cash is spent on him focusing on loving the Israeli occupation and genocide machine. Now he wants Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, even as the Saudis are seeing how much strength the Iranians have to control the Strait of Hormuz and how powerful the Ansar Allah folks are in Yemen regarding the Red Sea. Here's the judge and Ray McGovern on that.
Yeah, you mentioned Senator Graham. This is ridiculous what he said, but here he is yesterday saying to Lebanon, help is on the way. Of course, he said the same thing to the people on the streets in Tehran about 4 months ago. Chris, number 4.
To Saudi Arabia. Now's the time to open negotiations yet again for you to expand the Abraham Accords, for you to join. I think this is going to happen in 2026, and it can't happen until Iran's in a box. If we get a deal, Iran will be in a box. If we don't get a deal, Iran will be in a box. To Lebanon, to the people in Lebanon, help is on the way. Hezbollah has been terrorizing your country for a long time. That's about to end.
You see where Margaret couldn't get a word in edgewise?
Yeah.
No, it's not going to happen. I mean, my God, well, Graham is the type of people that Trump has to face into, and there are Democrats just as crazy about this whole business. So I don't know what, I'm finished trying to predict what Trump will do, but he's never been forced to make such a painful choice in the past. This time it's the economy, and midterms are coming up. It's the economy stupid, or it's stupid by continuing to support Israel.
Yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And I think it's amazing that Mr. Graham can try to claim that help is on the way to help the people of Lebanon. And you just see drone shot after drone shot of Lebanon being turned into the rubble and dust of Gaza. And he's saying that the United States and Israel are somehow the helpers. I'm helping. No, you're not helping. Now, just to give you a quick one here, Somaliland, of course, we know they broke from Somalia last year with help from the U.S. and Israel. And now look, oh, what a shocker. Mint Press News has got the news. Israel secretly begins deploying dozens of soldiers to Somaliland, representing a direct threat to regional stability and, of course, trying to get ready to build up on the Yemeni border.